Newcastle United, 70 years of domestic hurt is over, and God, they have thirsted for this joy. There are very few fan bases in English football that deserve a day like this more than Newcastle. The treatment, the abuse they suffered under Mike Ashley, the abhorrent running of the football club is now long behind them. They have put together a very good team. They will one day have a very special team with the ambition of their new owners. And today at Wembley, they put to bed many a skeleton. They ended 70 years of hurt. 5 major final defeats on the bounce. 9 Wembley defeats on the bounce. No goal at Wembley in 25 years. And it wasn't a scrappy win. It wasn't a close affair in all reality. They were superior. Liverpool didn't deserve to touch the same grass as Newcastle United today. A late consolation goal for Liverpool Football Club. But today is for the Toon Army. Wembley, London is black and white, and they thoroughly deserved it in each and every single way. Every player to a man. Eddie Howe. By the way, Eddie Howe becomes only the 7th English manager in Premier League history to win a trophy, which is absolutely crazy. The last trophy they won, Newcastle, was 1969, the Old Fairs Cup. The last domestic trophy was in 1955, before my own father was born. And look, they've waited and they've waited and they waited some more. But today they get everything their hearts desired. And listen, there's going to be a lot of emotional Newcastle fans. Enjoy it. Party long into the night. Because yes, it's the trophy, and that's what football for a lot of people is about. But it is the journey, all the ups and downs, all the pain, the turmoil, the relegations, the financial issues. All of that will make tonight taste sweeter, more beautiful, more potent than anything else any of those Newcastle fans have experienced before. So a big and massive congratulations to them. Newcastle fans who come on the show regularly, Mama Flossie, one of our legends here as an example. Of course, Phil, Toon Tactics, Dan, and the guys that come on from their fan base. My cousin Joe, I know you're going to be partying long into the night. We're the same age, and he's never seen a trophy lifted by his club. He's a diehard Newcastle fan and has been since we were young kids, and he's been through a lot. So look, all of you guys, well done. Congratulate Phil as well. Listen, everyone, big up to yourselves. You thoroughly deserved it today in each and every manner of the word deserved. Better team, scored great goals, created the chances that they scored late at the end. A little mistake, a little bit of lack of concentration. But there was only like 5 shots in the whole game by Liverpool. 5 shots in the entire game. They were awful to 17. Newcastle just absolutely schooled Liverpool in every single which way. And they should be thoroughly over the moon with their achievements. They really should. And I will say this now, it won't be every Liverpool fan, but a lot of them came for me this weekend when I called out Jamie Carragher for his claim that the Carabao Cup is better than the FA Cup. So I don't want to hear from those Liverpool fans who came for me any excuses. It's a little trophy. It doesn't matter, because you were giving it the big one because you wanted the mini double. And now the mini double is gone. The mini treble is gone. The treble was ended. The quad is over. And you will still win the Premier League, and you'll get congratulated for that on the day. You will. But you can't be coming out with statements like that on the eve of the tournament and not take smoke. This is a reminder of what Jamie Carragher said.
I love the Carabao Cup, mate. I think it's a better competition than the FA Cup, but I think the Carabao Cup for a long time has been a better competition. It's a standalone cup final in early March.
It sounds terrible.
I'm happy when we go to the FA Cup, and I love the FA Cup. But the Carabao Cup doesn't affect your league.
I think it's a better competition than the FA Cup.
And that got endorsed by a lot of people. And I thought it was a ridiculous statement. It's not, listen, winning this Carabao Cup is amazing and you should celebrate it every time, but it isn't better or bigger or more prestigious or any kind of claims that have been made. Okay. And it was only being spun so that if they won today, Liverpool, they could elevate their season to another level. I don't like the history of football being reiterated suddenly in 2025 when it's never been said. I mean, they weren't saying this, and these same Liverpool fans, when Man United were playing Newcastle 2 years ago. They only say it when it's themselves, and I find that to be disingenuous. And look, they upset the football gods. They really, really did. So look, aside from that, I've already said massive congratulations to Newcastle. In terms of the game today, look, fuck me. I've seen Newcastle play very well in the last 3 or 4 years. Against my team as well, by the way. They have battered Man United on a couple of occasions in the last few years. I will say this is the best Newcastle United performance I have seen in the best part of 25 years. When you factor in, it was at Wembley, a final against serial winners like Liverpool, the history of the fixture, the history of Newcastle in these cup finals, 70 years without a trophy. All those things being considered, it's the best performance I've personally ever seen from a Newcastle side ever. In my 39 years of being alive, it's the best Newcastle performance I've seen. Defensively, I mean, imagine this. Keeping Jota, keeping Diaz. Mo Salah today, Ballon d'Or is finished. The PSG game was one thing, it's PSG. The way he performed in this final, Ballon d'Or over. Newcastle United tonight took that Ballon d'Or away from Mo Salah. The midfield of Tonali, Joelinton, and Bruno Guimaraes, they didn't dominate the ball, but that was never their game plan. But they dominated their duels. They won their battles. They were phenomenal. Phenomenal in there today. And up front, I thought Barnes and Murphy played very, very well indeed. Very, very well indeed. They both played throughout the course of the game. Obviously, Jacob Murphy assisting Isak, but I thought Isak was just a level above today. His hold-up play, the way he runs the channels, it's so old-fashioned, but contemporary at the same time. First goal should have stood. The goalkeeper has a clear view. That's why he knows where to dive. I don't believe Bruno Guimaraes is offside. I think they gave Isak offside, saw they could still give it under VAR because of where Bruno Guimaraes was stood and sided with them. But before they even finished talking about that on television, Isak scores a goal, and the legendary level of that goal. And I always talk about this, and hopefully today people see where I'm coming from. All the goals he scored so far on a Newcastle shirt are important. All the goals leading to this final, important. But that cup-winning, 70-year pain-ending goal is what legends are made of. This is the difference between scoring 300 goals for a club and winning them nothing, and your goals leading to winning a trophy. It doesn't mean on ability he's better than X, better than Y, better than Z. But it's this legendary moment. This Newcastle game will be remembered by every Newcastle fan now until they pass. It'll be remembered by rivals because of the significance of it between now until they stop watching football, until they pass on. This is the difference between how good someone is and where you rank them in terms of legendary status. And this man, as a Newcastle striker, is right up there with everybody, in my personal opinion. And in terms of Premier League status, he needs many more years under his belt. But it's these moments. This is where legends are built, in moments like this. And I thought Isak was phenomenal today. He truly, truly was. But it wasn't a Newcastle player that didn't have a good game. There wasn't a Newcastle player today that was poor in any capacity, can be criticised in any capacity. Absolutely phenomenal. And I wanted to spend the first 10 minutes of this talking about them because I thought they deserved it. On Liverpool, and by the way, only one Liverpool fan's turned up backstage so far. All I will say about Liverpool today, out-muscled, outworked, the tactics from Eddie Howe. And but I will say this, by the way, again on Newcastle, I think the Newcastle fans asking for him to be sacked a few months ago just have to come out and say, objectively, I was wrong. I was right. They were probably right to criticise mistakes he was making. But the whole sacking thing, Yeah, it would have been a mistake for Newcastle to have done that. You know, we don't know what we don't know, but we do know what we do. And he's gone on to win their first trophy in 70 years, becomes their greatest manager in 70 years, and fair play to him. But what he did to Arne Slot today, he just outmaneuvered him in every single which way. There was no answers. And Liverpool, though, have fallen off in recent weeks. Liverpool have collapsed in recent weeks. The league is safe and the league is secure for Liverpool. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. It is safe and it's secure. I cannot see him throwing it away. But the commentators kept on saying, why have Liverpool fallen off? Why are Liverpool not at the races? And barring taking nothing away from Newcastle because they deserve it, I'll tell you what the biggest issue is right now with Liverpool. Mo Salah's gone off the boil. And without Mohamed Salah being the key deliverer, being the goal scorer, creating the chances, that front line has been left lacking. And what it's done, it's had a negative effect in terms of confidence on the rest of that team and the rest of that squad. They look a shadow of themselves. And it's 2 games running now where I'm not someone who's going to go overly in on Salah because I rate him. I think he's a legend of our game. So I'm not going to undo his legacy. What I am going to say, his performances against PSG, by and large across both legs, were shocking. Today, he was beyond invisible. And when he did get the chance on the ball, he was terribly poor. Now, look, Livramento's an excellent fullback, and Livramento handled him well. But at the same time, I would expect more from Mohamed Salah. So he can take his criticism on that. But what I will say about him, what I will say that I feel to be completely and utterly true, is that without Mohamed Salah, and he should be criticized, but when he ain't performing, who else is stepping up in this Liverpool team? Who else is good enough to say, I am this club? And they've had a fantastic start to the season. They've been a brilliant team. And it just feels when the pressure has really got on top in recent weeks, which is why, by the way, you can keep your 100 points. You can keep your invincibles. You can keep all of that. Winning more than one trophy in a season, I honestly believe it's the ultimate goal. It's so hard to do because you've got to juggle. And this Liverpool team in the last few weeks, Slot has got a lot of things wrong on the pitch. They've had a couple of players go off the boil like Mo Salah. And then as a team, they have just succumbed to the pressure of mini trebles, mini doubles, talks of quads a few weeks ago, and it has all fallen apart. They'll win their Premier League. And look, some Liverpool fans will be shameless enough to deflect to that today when we're talking about a different competition and tournament. But I thought by and large, Liverpool looked flat today, leggy, lethargic. No one really. They talk. There's obviously a bit of a term that's used. They didn't turn up, or they didn't look like they wanted it as much as Newcastle. And some people don't like that type of analysis. They think it's a little bit shallow and a little bit easy. But I do think there is an element of. I do think there is an element of truth to that. I do think there is an element of. There just seems to be a little bit of fight gone from this Liverpool side. And then when you couple in the Mo Salahs, when you couple in Gravenberch, for instance, who just nowhere near the levels he was for the first 4 or 5 months of this season, other players aren't stepping up. Other players are not grabbing the ball by the horns. And yeah, look, very, very poor overall from Liverpool today. And I'm sure their fans will be fuming with this. Let's go to some of these super chats here. The first one says, when it mattered most, the team did not show up to perform so pathetically in a final. I would rather they lost in the earlier rounds. They have let all the fans down. Listen, Jason, I may be overstepping the mark here. I feel like this is one of the worst final performances from one of the I'm not even going to say traditional top 6 because Spurs, they don't come into it when it comes to tournaments. When you think about the top 5 teams in England that predominantly win everything, I don't remember the last time I saw a final domestically this bad, where they just didn't lay a glove. You could Arsenal versus Chelsea in the Europa League final is probably one of them. But outside Liverpool, though, as a club, I don't remember the last time you were this bad in a final. Genuinely this bad. Awful. Magpies like shiny things. First of many, hopefully. Yeah, for them, it will be. I'm disappointed we lost. We just don't show up in finals lately. But Newcastle and their fans deserve this moment. Big up to yourself, Daniel, for being very fair and honest. Dan Byrne with their manliest man of the match performance. Congrats, Newcastle, from an Arsenal fan. By the way, online, why are a lot of Arsenal fans hating on Newcastle winning this trophy? I don't quite get the beef between the two. Congrats to Newcastle fans. Well deserved. How naive of Slot to leave Mo Salah off the pitch today. If he played, they would have won easily, as he can carry his team on his back, is what C says here. Even Eddie Howe wins a trophy with his own team before Arteta. Arteta won a trophy in his first season. We can't be doing the revisionism. Drogba is better than Salah in big games. Fraud. Well, I've seen Salah score in finals. I've seen him score in Champions League finals, bro. I wouldn't call him a fraud, personally. They compare Salah to Henry and Hazard. Have shame. Henry never scored in the final. Wrong. I'm just trying to help you here. If you're gonna play Salah down, you can't use a man who didn't score in a final. That doesn't work. Beating Newcastle in a final ain't for everyone. Come on, you Geordies. Liverpool wheels are falling off. I heard VVD and Slot complain that this is Newcastle's cup final. They surely can't bottle the fourth trophy as well. They'll win the league. Listen, if they were to, I'm going to make this statement now. If they were to bottle the league from here, Liverpool, Slot needs to be sacked. Genuinely, if they bottled the league from here, they'd have to sack him. They'd have to just go, nah, mate, you can't be the favourites to win 4 tournaments and win none of them. From men to boys, such a pathetic display. Shameful is what Jason says. Oral Campbell says, need to ask about Arnie Slot in knockout games. It's fair, I wouldn't be writing him off. He's going to win the Prem in his first season. But in the cup competitions this year, when it's got to the knockout stages, so far, it hasn't looked good. But I would say it's too early for those conversations, having it being his first season. I don't hate Liverpool at all, but I just love the fact that some Liverpool fans paid the price for their arrogance again. Congrats to Newcastle. I'm saying this now. The whole mini treble is the same as the treble. I think they upset the football gods. I think they pissed them off. I think when you start messing with football history in that way, something bad's coming for you. And you may not believe directly in the football gods, but I do believe in tempting fate. I do believe in pride before the fall. And I started seeing all that talk, and I just thought, and it came true. Mo Salah missing again. He certainly was today. This is why Tuchel took Dan Burn. I will say, Dan Burn's had a lot of stick this week. What a performance and what a goal from him. Terry, it looks like eye test turned out to be right about Isak. Eye test turned out to be right about how good Isak is. Where I said he was wrong is all the other players that he said were crap in the comparison. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's where I still say that he got half of it right, and Isak looks brilliant. But he basically said, Haaland's crap. He isn't, is he? Who wants to be a millionaire in 2035? Who won the Carabao Cup in 2025? Ask for a hint. Whenever a Liverpool get a corner, it's Dan Burn on VVD. Whenever Newcastle get a corner, it's Macca on Burn. Yeah, it was weird marking. I agree. I absolutely agree with you on that. Evening, Terry. Congrats to Newcastle. Better team on the day. Happy for Newcastle fans. No excuses. Liverpool were outplayed by Newcastle. Big up yourself, D, for the honesty. I'm the first person to say Isak on this channel. Yes, you were. But you got to remember, this is eye test here. But Ali, we've got to be fair because you're here to gloat. You also were talking about how shit Haaland was and he wouldn't make it in the Premier League. So you got half of it right. And you got half of it wrong. He was brilliant today, though. Apologise, Liverpool. Man United did better. No excuses. Well, we beat them. Carragher speaks about trophies. Shit, Newcastle win trophies. Amazing. Keep your tribalism in check, kiddo. Beating Newcastle in a final isn't for everyone, coming from a Man United fan. Arsenal fans wanted Newcastle to win. Not the ones I spoke to today. They were like, oh, they want them to. I didn't really get it. Liverpool would need to drop at least 13 points in their remaining 9, whilst Arsenal would need... Yeah, they're not doing it, Adam. They're not collapsing from this point. Henry scored in the World Cup final, actually. We're talking domestically here. And Salah has scored in finals. So anyway, Salah scored a penalty only. But penalties got goals, mate. Please don't tell me we're going to start doing this penalties aren't gold bullshit again. This is why Arsenal had to hold that gap. Liverpool collapsed last season. You could see it coming. Well, this is why they should have bought in January, and a lot of people said that. A lot of people said that, and they didn't. Merseyside derby after the break looks interesting. Yeah, look, it's at Anfield. They'll be rested. I wouldn't worry too much. Once again, Sam's lies. Henry scored the golden goal winner in the France. Yeah, we're talking Henry in domestic is what we're talking about here. Domestic. And you're talking about the Confed final, but that's a friendly tournament. The friendly, it's an invitational. Come on. Not a Newcastle fan, but I'm happy for them. Yeah, especially I'm really happy for Newcastle. As I say, look, they give some Newcastle fans hate Man United, and I get why. Ever since Mike Ashley took over their club and destroyed it, I've had a soft spot for them. I'm a football fan that tries to stand as close as I can to supporters that have bad owners, and I'm really happy for them. I really, really am. Football gods watching. Yes, they were. Right, it's time to bring the panel out now, people. We've got Toon Tactics here. We've got G, we've got Steve, we've got Sam. No other Liverpool fans have come along. The Tom Littles and the Rams. Toon Tactics, listen, mate, your first major trophy you've ever witnessed.
Yes, sir.
Give me your thoughts on your feelings right now and your team's performance, brother.
I'm lost for words, Terry, and it's just like you said, and you summarized it really well at the beginning, it's the first time I've seen Newcastle lift a trophy, and I'm like, wow, this is what it feels like. And not only that, is that we did it properly. No one can take it away from us. We beat the best team. First of all, I need to say big up to Liverpool. They are the best team in the country. They're good. They're the champions elect, and they're worthy of that. People are going to downplay that. They're head and shoulders above everybody else in the most competitive league in the world, in my opinion. But today, we beat the best team in the country. And before that, we beat the second best team in the country this year. Twice, home and away, and we beat Chelsea, and we beat Nottingham Forest away. We more than deserve this, and I wanted to make that clear, especially it's not for rivals, it's for us Newcastle fans, that we are good enough. We are good enough to be winning trophies and to be considered for competing titles. We need to believe that we are good enough, and today we've proved that. And God bless Eddie Howe. I was at church today. I had to miss half the first half, but God rewarded me for my sacrifice. And today we've seen Newcastle lift the trophy. I'm forever grateful to that. Big up to you, Steve. I wish there was more Newcastle fans I could give big ups to, but big up to you, Steve, and big up to all the Newcastle fans. We've been through a lot. We are here today. The journey is sweet, but I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, look, I appreciate that, mate. And of course, you have been through a lot as Newcastle fans, and it's winning trophies is also addictive, and you'll want more and more and more of it. And it's an amazing thing. Steve, yourself, you started being a Newcastle fan over a decade ago, and to be honest, for somebody from America, there was absolutely zero need for you to pick Newcastle because you could have picked everybody. You didn't. Yeah, and how does that feel after everything you've witnessed in the last decade or so, watching them to come out on top today and see the first trophy in 70 years lifted?
Well, first of all, I gotta big up every Newcastle fan that was before me in the building, like Toon Tactics, like all of my buddies over in the UK and around the world. Because yeah, you're right. I'm relatively new, like as a fan compared to others. I mean, people who are 50, 60 years old haven't seen us lift any domestic silverware for a while. So, but yeah, I never thought I'd see this day. That's what it is. And I thought the performance we put on today was what I thought was going to happen to us. I thought it was going to be a literally Uno reverse. I said 2-0 Liverpool, and I thought what was going to happen was that we were going to be off the, just missing that intensity, missing those 50-50 duels, and we took our chances, and we could have had a few more as well. I literally thought it was going to be complete in reverse. So we showed what champions do, and these guys' careers forever will be changed because of that. And I think it's super valuable that it happened. So, no, I'm thrilled. I still can't even believe it. I literally cannot believe it. It could not like Dan Burn. Dan Burn has not been great this year. He's not been great. He's been all right. I thought that you could throw me in the camp of being like, why did Dan Burn get called up? Like, he's been a bit suspect lately. But today, this is the day to show, like, yo, this is why I got called up to the England team.
Yeah.
I don't think he missed out on any headers. I mean, statistically, whatever. I thought he was terrific. Even Cher was playing some nice long balls throughout the game that were invaluable. Isak taking the goal. I said I was
finish.
God,
that was a finish.
The finish. Good Lord. No, it was just so well taken. It was so well taken, and it was just a few minutes after the fact that we had the goal disallowed as well.
Yeah.
So that shows real mentality. He's not phased. He's not phased by it. And the team wasn't phased by it either. We knew there was more goals in the game. We knew that the team just sensed blood in the water the entire time. So, and I got it. And look, I am Eddie Howe critic. That's what you were saying that about people who are. So I'm more than happy to be wrong. More than happy to be wrong. He's managed this tournament brilliantly. We've had tough opposition in Nottingham Forest. We made a lot of hard work out of Wimbledon at home. That was a scrappy game. Got through that. Beat Liverpool in the final. Before that, in the semifinal, we were emphatic victory over Arsenal. So I gotta give Eddie Howe a lot of props. I mean, he's a club legend forever.
100%.
And I think if we give him some serious money, then we can maybe do something. But Jesus, Terry said it earlier. Like, we Newcastle fans, we will remember this forever and ever. This is. I just never thought it was going to happen. I never did. It's one of those, because there's a reason why clubs go 70 years without winning trophies.
Yeah.
That doubt builds up. And some clubs still haven't won anything. I mean,
it does, and this is when people use the word heritage quite a lot. This is where heritage it doesn't always prevail, right? But this is where, like, I think again, Liverpool didn't deserve to win today. If Liverpool's goal though comes on the 80th minute, it could have been different, because what you felt, you saw a nervous in your crowd, but that's where you got to give your players credit. Your players then did something so smart for the next 5 minutes. They got the ball right into the corners, were jeering the crowd up, because they know we need you to help us here. And if your players would have followed the same suit that your fans did when Liverpool scored and sort of went in themselves and all sat back, Liverpool would have had like 2.5, 3 minutes of just bombarding your box. And that's why history does repeat itself a lot in football, because players can often mirror the fans, or fans can often mirror the players. And there are times where you actually need, sometimes the fans have got to pull the players up. Other times the players need to do the same in reverse. And I thought that's why I was looking at your players today and thought, you know what? Absolute fair play to all of you, because they got, other than that little mistake from Gomaris that led to the goal, you guys it's one of the most perfect final performances like I've ever seen. One of the most perfect cup final performances in the history of domestic competition that I've ever watched. It was flawless. G, obviously you're a Liverpool fan. Obviously,
and by the way,
go on.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, and on top of that, we still only won 2-1.
Yeah.
This performance. Sorry to cut you off, but like I said in there,
your
like,
team.
It flattered us to only win 2-1 in the grand scheme of things. But Newcastle being Newcastle, we did have to make it a bit complicated.
Yeah, I hear that. G, obviously you'll be disappointed to lose. What was your thoughts on Liverpool today, and why do you think you were so flat?
Steve, you said it there, man. That was a 2-1. That was flattered. You know what I mean? Like, we should have lost by more. We was shit the whole game. I think bar maybe like towards the end when we're throwing the kitchen sink at it. You're gonna have to ask Slot. I haven't heard his press conference, so I ain't got a clue as to what he was thinking, what he was doing. Newcastle, I said it before the game. I said it when we drew 3-3. You see that midfield? Yeah, that midfield is different. It's different gravy, Like, every one of those players, I want in my team. I said it before the 3-3 game. I said it before this game. I said, you see that type of midfield, people look at it and think, physically. Forget the physical side. They got that in abundance as a team. When you look at that midfield, though, it's just got a mix of everything that you'd want from a Premier League midfield. And then when you've got Europe's hottest striker, around who can finish chances where it's like, bro, like why did you have to take it one touch and finish? You know what I mean? It was just one of them kind of finishes. But honestly, Liverpool did not look up for it at oh, like we came into this game, and I thought after the PSG game, I thought that these guys were going to stand up and be counted. I thought, you know what, we're going to come into the game, we're going to be, you know, as we're going to be doing what Newcastle are doing. I didn't think we would win in that kind of way. I thought it would be more about the football that we played, and Newcastle might huff and puff, and then, you know, the game would just peter out in the way it does. But Newcastle, like from the first minute, it was just bang, 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 bang. And you kind of looked at it and you saw Mo Salah, like, that's my guy. But pro, you know, when you're up against Dan Burn, you see that crossfield pass that Van Dijk loves to do. I said, that's not happening today. You're not doing it against Burn, not in a cup final. Like, he's going to be way too up for it. It's just going to get long. Then with the midfield, then with the defense, then with their attack. Everyone looked at the attack of Newcastle and thought, well, they ain't got no Anthony Gordon. Oh, this might look tricky. I said, they don't even need all of that, because I don't feel like it's about one individual with Newcastle. It is really about the team, whereas we've been relying solely on one individual to kind of bail us out of trouble. When he's not performing, the rest of the team ain't performing as well as they probably, you know, should be. So when you saw it, you know, players like Curtis Jones coming on, and he added a bit of life and, you know, a bit of oomph, you know, to the team in itself, because Liverpool's midfield three for a little while now was shit. And you kind of knew that before the game, they were going to be shit, because the reality is you can't come up against that type of midfield with our midfield. But guess what? I'm not the guy who gets paid millions to make these decisions, and I ain't going to be scrutinized after this. It's going to be him. But Newcastle thoroughly deserved to win that game.
Sir.
There isn't even like there's nothing I can say. I can't say, oh yeah, maybe if we got this decision, it doesn't matter. Newcastle deserved to win the game. It's, you know, so done. You know, Liverpool have been absolutely shite for a little while now, and look, in 1 week you've gone from treble to just praying that you just don't bottle the lead, which is, I don't think it's gonna happen. But you just, now we're in this kind of situation. You're like, well, come on, man, like that's, you know, that's so sad for a group of players who are supposed to be winners. You guys are just petering out the season in the way that you are. Come on, man. I expect way more from professionals, especially professionals who claim to want to win everything. That to me is embarrassing to watch half the time, because I'm like, how are you letting, and no disrespect to Newcastle, by the way, but how are you letting Newcastle, a team who haven't won in ages, so you already knew how big this was going to be for them. You knew it before the game. It's been 50 whatever odd years since they won something. So guess what? You've got to come in there with your quality. You've got to come in there with your nous and understand, yo, this is going to be massive for them, but we need to calm them down a little bit. Guess what? You didn't do that. And you deserve to lose.
And I thought it was interesting, G. I put it had this feeling in the game. When Newcastle were on top, it got to like 42 minutes. And I tweeted out a thought, and I'm like, if Newcastle don't score when they're on top, there was only one way the game was going to go. And it was going to be Liverpool were going to get some sucker punch goal, 55, 60 minutes. And then the Newcastle energy just drifts out. That Dan Burn goal, the timing of it before half time, it was probably better than scoring some of the earlier chances, because it sort of gave you guys something to come out in the second half and fight for straight away. And Newcastle carried on as they left off. And that second goal, I thought, and especially the second goal came just after one being disallowed, I think that killed the game. I think when that second goal went in, Liverpool really didn't, to me, look like doing anything much at all until that consolation goal late on. For
me, the Nick Pope save. Sorry, G, I was just gonna say, the Nick Pope save for me, I think, was when I felt like, ooh. Because that Nick Pope save was a few minutes after we scored.
Yeah. But
that for me was
including that. What you like? Remember, as Terry said, you're right. Liverpool have this knack this season where you'll play shit and then the team don't score, and then you just go ahead and score, right? The problem is that we weren't even like nothing was happening. Like nothing was really going on. So I couldn't even see a way. I was like, I don't think people understand. Like, you see Newcastle, if they want to sit, they will sit. I've watched games where Newcastle will just chill for 20, 25 minutes and not be bothered about trying to score. They're already 2-0 up. They don't need to score another goal. So Liverpool were kind of like, Van Dijk was playing alongside fucking Dan Burn. I said, that's when you know it's all peak now, when I've got my centre back who doesn't score that much. He's now up front trying to score goals. And I was like, like I said, Newcastle, you deserve to win it, man. I can't say much more than that, to be honest.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sam, obviously you look very frustrated, mate. What are you here to say about Liverpool's performance today and the Carabao Cup final?
First of all, congratulations, Newcastle. You deserved it thoroughly. Well done, well done, well done. My head is hot. My head is hot. I can't lie to you.
Let it out, brother. Therapy's here. Therapy session begins. Come on, buddy.
I can accept Liverpool playing decent and then Newcastle just getting over the line. What I can't accept in a final is us playing absolutely utter garbage in a final. Now, part to play with it was Newcastle actually making us play like that. But right now, like, I was looking at the game and I was just trying to calm my thoughts, and I was thinking Slot's tactics were wrong. There's some players that need to get sold in the summer, and FSG, I really do hope that Liverpool fans see that us not buying anyone or only buying, Chiesa, which was practically nothing, and not getting anyone in January, Arsenal have let us off the hook. Actually, the rest of the Premier League have let us off the hook. Because I knew from before that this is a good team, but it's not a great team.
Yes.
And we have to kind of build on it next season. The mistakes that were made, fix these mistakes and build on it next season. But obviously, with the run that we have other people saying we're this, we're that, greater than what we are. And this has actually exposed what the real problems at hand. There's 2 seasons now where it's coming now to the end of the season, we're capitulating. We've had 2 different managers. So what's the problem? You have to ask yourself, what is the problem? Who is the common denominator now? And for me, it's FSG. But before we get into FSG, we have to talk about the match. And the match was absolutely poor. Newcastle bullied us all over the park. I mean, you can say Salah was missing. I'm sorry. Could you even get a ball to Salah? We couldn't even get a ball. How many touches did Salah have in that game? It was an absolute joke. Diaz ran out of ideas. Jota was running like a headless chicken.
He had 23 touches.
Say again?
He had 23 in the whole game.
Jesus.
And I'm very sure Salah averages more than that in a game. So, and the midfield was non-existent. I don't know what McAllister, Gravenberch, and Szoboszlai were doing. And I hardly criticized the midfield, but recently it's just been poor. It's been poor. And then Slot making the changes, and I was thinking, Slot, I know you've made changes before where, Husam, you can do this all the time, all this all the time.
That's not what's happening.
But no, the changes that he's made before has one-off games. But some of the changes didn't even make sense. First of all, I actually think Endo should have been brought into this game because Endo was a battler. And he could come up with a fight with that Newcastle midfield. But it is what it is. Like, I'm trying to keep my thoughts down because I don't want to crash out. But
it's a safe place, mate. Safe place.
We've been quite lucky with how the Premier League has gone for us to not buy anybody. To not buy anybody. Not with the quality, it's just to not buy anybody because it looks like we're running out of energy towards the same part of the season where last season we also ran out of energy. And that is a big problem. But yeah.
Yep, I hear you on that. We're going to go to Husam next. Some footage here we have to show you before we speak to Husam.
Diaz into Szoboszlai. Do something, Szoboszlai. Do something, Szoboszlai. Jones! And it's saved by Pope. Yay! Shot on target! Yes! Nick Pope made the save. Shot on target. Let's go!
Husam, a very disappointing day in the final for you. Obviously, the boys have spoke long and hard. What do you think went wrong for Liverpool today? Why and why was Mohamed Salah so poor in another massive game this week?
I think if you're blaming Salah for today, you just don't understand football. You just don't understand the sport. At the end of the day, the reason why we lost today is we got out-coached. For the second game in a row, Eddie Howe outcoached Arne Slot, just like Luis Enrique outcoached Arne Slot. Newcastle deserved to win this game. We don't deserve to win this game, even if we made a comeback in the end. The last 4 minutes of the game tell you everything that's wrong with this football match. The last 4 minutes is literally everything that's wrong with this football match. You score a goal, you scam a goal, and for the next 4 minutes, try to apply pressure, try to create something. And for 4 minutes, we started playing the corner game with the Newcastle that they won, by the way, the corner game. For 4 minutes, we couldn't even get the ball up top. Dan Burn is 6'5", Salah is 5'7". We are playing long balls to Salah against Dan Burn. Dan Burn is a literal giraffe. And for some reason, I don't know what the reason is, we had Alexis McAllister, who's 5'5", defending Dan Burn on corners. And when I was doing my watch along, I pointed it out 4 corners in a row. It happened first when Dan Burn had that layoff corner to Bruno Guimaraes, and Bruno Guimaraes headed it towards Keller that he saved. From that moment onwards, it's just, you just know, like, you know, it just makes no sense. McAllister is the shortest outfield player we have, and we put him on the tallest outfield player they had, which is genuinely just nonsensical from a corner. I look at our midfield get run by again by the Newcastle dogs that they have in midfield. They just ran us to pieces. They just pressed the shit out of us. This is not the Liverpool from August, September, October, November, December. This is not. And I know G and Sam will agree as well, and Rax. I was putting my head like this, not because I'm disagreeing. It's because I'm frustrated the fact that we lost today's game.
My bad. I actually realized why you put your head back. My bad.
Yeah, and the copium now starts from certain Liverpool fans. Thank God G, Rax, and Sam are not them, who will act like this is okay because we're going to go on to win the league. Every time, this is just horse shit, to be honest with you. Like when you're in a final at Wembley, you want to win it. Whether it's Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Audi Cup, whatever cup, like you're in Wembley and it's a massive occasion. It's a major trophy. You have to try and win it. And the way that we lost today's game was just absolute crap. And you know what pisses me off? This is a literal repeat of the game at St. James's Park. Literal repeat. Like actual repeat where we just got pressed to pieces. And I was doing a show this Friday. Rax was on it. And I said, I would have started Endo and played a 4-man midfield instead of playing 3-man midfield because they obviously have a lot more pace and power than us. They're a lot more athletic than us, and they're going to press us to pieces. So I said, play Endo, have a natural DM in there, and have 3 midfielders instead of 2, and then you can have Salah and Diaz up top together. That was the solution for the PSG game, and that was the solution for the Newcastle game. Instead, we went with the 4-3-3, which is not a problem. The problem is not the formation. The problem is how we played on the pitch. We couldn't get the ball to the forward line. The way that we got the ball to the forward line is long ball, because they're saying in the chat, explain how Slot was outcoached. Slot was outcoached because we played into Newcastle's hands.
Yes.
Yeah. Eddie Howe, if you told him pre-game, hey, they're going to play long balls into Diego Jota, he'd have been like, let's go. I'm going to be a Carabao Cup champion today. We kept playing long balls to Jota.
Yes.
Jota was shit. He's our worst forward today. But at the same time, he's 5'5". Against the Newcastle 2 centre-back giants.
Do you think, Sam, maybe that's been born out of the fact that this season, up until, and let's put the Plymouth game aside because you start with a much weaker team, but up until the PSG game and up until today, by and large this season, you've kind of stuck to your plan and you've found a way playing your way. Do you think maybe it's just, I don't want to call it luck, but you've just had some games with, oh, hang on, with every other match this season, we've stuck to our guns, played our system, played our way, and we've come out on top. So I'm not going to change that now.
Yeah, but the problem with your question is we haven't stuck to our plan. We haven't stuck to our plan for a while now. That's the problem. G and Sam pointed it out. We haven't stuck to the plan. Are we doing the same plan that we did in August? When we came to Man United and we won 3-0 at Old Trafford, does this look like a similar plan? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's not a similar plan. I don't even recall.
What are you not doing that's the same? What's changed?
The way that we play out of the press, the way that we're using Gravenberch, and on top of that, teams are now pressing Gravenberch because he knows he is essentially our way of going out of trouble when we're getting pressed. So now people are essentially man-marking and pressing the shit out of him, which they did at St. James's Park anyway. Which is why we should have been ready with a 4-man midfield, which I said on Friday. So this is not hindsight. On Friday, I said, guys, we should start Endo. And we lost this game deservedly because they were a lot better than us. We played straight into their hands. We did. And that's why I'm not blaming Salah or Diaz or Gakpo or Chiesa. We had one moment where we played football and we scored a goal from it. Elliot, instead of molesting the ball for 90 minutes, plays a direct ball. Chiesa finishes it in front of goal. Yeah, because that's what we did. Like, how much possession do we have? 900% possession. And what do? We just kept hugging the ball. But you start playing possession football after you're 2-0 down. It's too late, mate. Where has this been all game long? And finally, like, Slot actually subs on Chiesa. I don't know what Chiesa has done to Arne Slot for him to not trust him at all. Subs on Chiesa and he makes a positive impact because he's a direct winger that's not interested in hugging the ball for 90 minutes. So we deserve to lose this game. This is absolutely unacceptable, to be honest with you, the way that we performed today. Slot got outcoached 2 games in a row. Long balls into two of the shortest forwards in the Premier League against the giants that Newcastle have is just like a suicidal tactic, to be honest with you. And I just want to say, I'll be honest with you, thank God we're in a title race with Arsenal, not Manchester City. I'll pray tonight and I'll thank God like 500 times that we're not in a title race with Man City.
I was about to say that.
If we were in a title race with Manchester City, this would be the start of another capitulation. So thank God we're in a title race with bigger bottle jobs than us.
I hear you on that.
If it was,
go on, Andrew.
If it was the like you going against Man City and not Arsenal, this will definitely be deja vu. It's exactly what happened last season, and you were in all the competitions.
We won the Carabao Cup last season.
No, but yeah, and that's why I'm here, because I'm a Chelsea fan, and you guys beat us 1-0, and yeah, that felt really bad. And I was watching your watch along, and then I'm also here to say congratulations to Newcastle. I found out about 4 years ago that my ancestry like comes from Newcastle, so I was like, hey, it's nice that, you know, like we wanted like a trophy. So yeah, but if this wasn't basically Arsenal, like you guys would be like, you and all Liverpool fans would be sweating because the Premier League won't be so done and dusted. But right now, I mean, you guys will still win it. This game, if I have to say, like what I saw was like tactically, yeah, he was out coached. He changed stuff that he shouldn't have changed, Slot, because he normally makes good decisions. Like he thinks on his feet. He makes substitutions well. He didn't do that this time. The tactic of long balls to short forwards versus giants, again, not something that he would normally not do. He would play differently. And yeah, and you have to give it up to the atmosphere. Like these guys went to Anfield and they made an atmosphere there, which is crazy. The Newcastle fans. And yeah, they just had grit. Like somebody in the super chat said that it was the manliest man of the match performance. Yeah, like definitely Dan Burn, like he bossed everybody on that pitch. So that big up to Newcastle. Congratulations, Newcastle fans. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, but the reason why Dan Burn won man of the match once again, and this is the thing that we're pointing out, myself and G, is the fact that we just played into their hands.
Oh!
Dan Burn shouldn't have that many attempts at winning headers anyway. Where is the fluid football? Where is the passing it on the ground? Newcastle want you to.
It was a mismatch. Yeah. McAllister and him.
If you play it wrong, you just play into their hands and you end up losing. That's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I don't disagree with a lot of what you said. I think with Liverpool's the thing Liverpool's system's going through is that your manager made adaptations to it from Klopp, and I think beginning of the season that caught people off guard. Clubs are now working it out, and they're nullifying it in there's been a lot more games, I think, in 2025 that Liverpool have played where you've won the games, but you haven't been the outright best team. But what you also have had in those games is that Mo Salah's been on point. I think what has helped is that the last couple of matches, I only asked you about Salah, why do you think he isn't performing? I just feel like it's unfortunate, but he just hit bad form at the wrong time. I think he's hit bad form at the wrong time for Liverpool and at a perfect time for everybody else. But
can I disagree with you on that genuinely? And I'm not saying that just to defend the guy. In the first half, we didn't play long ball one time. One time we actually played it on the ground. Salah got the ball in a dangerous position just one time, and we created the most dangerous chance of the half.
Oh, the cross from the right.
Where Diaz plays it off to Jota and Jota cleared it.
I understand that. I also saw Mo Salah though, in the first half and second, a number of first touches, same as in the PSG games, home and away. First touches wasn't good enough. Tried to beat a man, lost his duels. I can't ignore that just because I think he's a phenomenal football player. But what I'm not going to do is try and play his legacy down. Mo Salah is not currently in the form where he can be having a quiet game and score some screamer from 35 yards on a weird angle and bring his team back into the football match. And I think that's exposed Liverpool, whilst their form's not been as good as well. It's almost like a perfect storm, as an example. But things like Dan Burn pulling off, I mean, Gary Neville was talking about it, so I'm not going to plagiarize what he said, but Newcastle just went, well, there's no point putting Dan Burn up against Van Dijk. Let's just put him out of the back. And Man United tried to do this with Maguire a lot. We just knock it to a back post and Maguire's there to knock it back across. And the bit where you're right, Husam, Slot had to take accountability is that he didn't change it. He didn't go, do you know what? We've got to go and stick Konate or Van Dijk on him. Yes, it weakened you in the middle, but their biggest goal threat's also not in the middle. So, he got it wrong in that regard today. A few
Husam, I have a question for you, Husam.
Yeah,
Sorry, I have a question for Husam.
Go on.
Yeah, I just want to know that, like, because Arsenal fans were saying this, they said that, okay, if like how Saka's injured for them, and that's why they are where they are. If and I think you answered this as well. If Salah was injured, if Salah doesn't show up, then what happens to Liverpool? Like today is an example. Yes, tactically they were outplayed, but this is an example. If Salah doesn't show up, then maybe you're not firing, and this title race could be closer. What do you say for that?
Of course, if the best player in the league is not there, we would have struggled. I mean, that's something, to be honest with you, that's like, you know, I don't think anyone would disagree with. Obviously, with him being there, like it's something that we need. But at the end of the day, he wasn't there last season, and no one gave us that excuse. So why should I use that excuse for Arsenal this season?
And when he was there,
okay, fair enough.
And when he was there, we accumulated a 9-point lead over Arsenal. Like we were 9 points ahead on 11th of November, and Saka was fully fit at that point.
And also, Arsenal dropped points 4 games with no controversy whatsoever, and no injuries whatsoever. Newcastle, Fulham, Chelsea, and Everton.
I just think the problem we have in this is I love what we all do. I love what I do for a living. I love fan content. It's where fan content can be a little bit frustrating, is that nobody wants to give a rival the excuse when they've got injuries, but we all want the excuse when we've got it. That's the truth of this matter. Of course, there's no way Liverpool would be 12 points clear at the top of the league if Salah had been out for the last 3 months. In my personal opinion, I think they'd be top of the league. I don't think they'd have a 12-point gap, as an example. Had Saka stayed fit in that time, could Arsenal be closer? Yeah, absolutely. But there aren't no guarantees in football. So I just think it becomes a really difficult conversation. And it all started, by the way, when Liverpool were the first team to sort of suffer with this, really. Hang on a minute. One sec, guys. One sec. I want to see what this prick does. Rashford scored! He scored! Rashford scored!
Finally.
Oh!
Finally.
Yes!
Finally.
Go on, Rasmus! Yes! Rasmus! I never fucking doubted him for a minute. Start him. R9, baby. Oh, no, that's a joke, obviously. Oh,
Terry, quick question. Who's your centre back?
Good finish.
Who's that centre back that you guys have got there? The
He's
black
looking
guy.
good, isn't he? Young Heaven. We bought him off Arsenal for £1 million in January.
Yeah, you look all right.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get done a minute ago. I think it was like Pat.
Yeah, but he got back though.
He did very, very. I was like, oh, look at that. But that's what you need in your team sometimes. A little bit of pace. A little bit of pace helps everybody. So good goal by Rasmus. So yeah, look, I hear what you got. I'm going to go to you in a second, Rack. I just want to read some of these super chats out. Is winning the league enough to say everyone is the best? Yeah, I mean, winning the league means you're the best team in the country. I mean, yes, it is that binary. The league, you're the best team in the. Okay, I think you could phrase it away. You're the best team in the country that season. I think that is. Again, it's a bit like the treble conversation, double conversations, Carabao Cup being better than the FA Cup. There's certain elements of football I just don't think should be changed. At all. Liverpool fans are so happy that Arsenal are second. They all said that on here. Slot out coached by Plymouth, PSG, and Newcastle manager in the space of 4 weeks. That's tough. Definitely the latter two. Salah and Haaland, 0 non-penalty goals in 23 combined finals they have played for Liverpool and City. Stop calling these stat padders the best in the world. Is that, I'm going to throw this to Phil, the Newcastle fan. Is that fair to say today?
No, I think it's ridiculous. I think this type of analysis is what angers me and about the mode. Not angers me, but it frustrates me. I can't believe football's gone to this level of just saying of this term around stat padders just because someone scores lots of goals there are other players in the team. They have to stop that person. They can't stop that person because they're just exceptionally good at what they do. So, this thing about it kind of gives the perception that Haaland and Salah choose when to turn up, and they play really well against Leicester, and they get 5 goals, and that's where they get the most of their goals. It's just simply not true. And so I think it's just another way of bringing down great players. Oh, Haaland isn't great because he can't link up play. Okay, who's your striker? Well, is he scoring 50 goals a season? So no, I really, really disagree with this whole thing and how the likes of, especially I think Mo Salah gets the worst, where they say, "Oh, he's the greatest stat padder in history." Like he could never match Henry. And I think it's more to do with people's memories. Like it's not to say that Henry isn't great. He is a marvelous player, athletically speaking. But
yeah. I watched a video the other day. It's only about 8 minutes long, and I've got to listen to it again. And I want to do some more research. But it spoke about times where Zidane was on such bad runs of form and performances at clubs like Juve that he was getting booed in multiple games. We my age group don't remember that because we weren't watching Italian football like that. And nostalgia has come in to say that didn't go on. Now that doesn't mean Zidane's legacy is damaged at all. But there's this notion, and there's 2 players that broke the barometer, and it was Messi and Ronaldo, because they both did a decade and a half where they barely had a bad game and they were just completely consistent. Most other players that we put into the world-class category or best-in-class category had periods and or whole seasons where they were slightly off the boil. It's normal. What Messi and Ronaldo did was the abnormal thing. Putting everybody on that standard and that pedestal, I just think it is ridiculous. So yeah, I as a Man United fan, the 2 biggest rivals of mine, I disagree with that. They're not stat padders at all, because if they were stat padders, somebody else could pick up those goals. If they
also, I just want to say one thing. All the superior footballers that you can think of, prime Neymar is a superior footballer to Salah. I think if we're doing players this generation, I rank Neymar higher than Salah, of course. But even if we had Neymar today on the pitch, we still don't win that game, because we got out coached. This is the thing that I'm trying to explain. You're playing long balls. Dan Burn is 6'5" and Salah is 5'7". What do you expect to do? Win fucking headers against the giraffe, like a whole giraffe? Like, it's just not gonna happen, bro. That's why I said we got out coached. And I didn't blame Diaz either on the other wing, because we're doing the same thing. We're playing long balls to him. This
is where people have got to be careful, though. So my guy here, City fan, says KDB and Hazard fans have been eating good lately. That's because you're putting Salah into that conversation. But you're a City fan. What you're using to slag off Salah damages Haaland. So why do it? And that's the problem with all these, for me, these banal, boring, horrible sort of debates, is that you end up attributing that same thing to your players. You know, we had Arsenal fans earlier on the season talking about how and let me see his tackle, because it could be
Salah could never be Henry. Henry has 0 goals at Wembley, bro.
But you hear people talk about, oh yeah, you're this guy only did it when the team was good. Well, I can name some of your legends that only played for your club when they were in a good period. Your own analysis damages your own legends. Stop doing it.
No, but Terry, it's also what you.
Sorry, go on, mate.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, you speak, and I'll do the last few super chats and speak to Rack. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry. No, but I'm just saying that I think this is something that you spoke about as well, is that football has changed. Like from what we saw, Thierry Henry, Ronaldinho, all of these guys play, the way style of football, the Yoga Bonita, like that was beautiful to watch. Plus, they also did important things in important games. And now it's about, like it's athleticism, it's just winning, it's getting the trophies, and it's money and it's business.
But it's also this. My dad said this to me as a kid, and it's come true. When you first start watching football, and you think back to when your real visceral memories of it, it's the first time and it's exciting.
Yeah.
The novelty in football wears off to the perspective. Every next generation of players that comes through, typically the generation by and large impresses you less, not because they're necessarily worse, but you've seen it before and before and before and before and before. It's not that when you're sort of 10 years old, 15 years, whatever age it may be, and this certain Brazilian team is like, yeah, they're the ones. But this young, my son, who is 10, when I talk to him about all these heroes, he ain't talking. He doesn't go, oh, that is shit compared to the 90s, isn't it? He is just in love with the footballers coming through now and loves all of them. And can you get me this kit and that kit? And I want this and I want that and I want the other. And that's because he's in love with them. And he will then, when he's my age, have it'll be the same thing being said. And how do we know this? Because our parents have taught us this. That's the one thing about content creators I don't like, is I think there's no way your dad, your granddad, your mum didn't teach you this already. How are you, like, do you know what I mean? We were all taught it. So how are you not?
Because I know
I was gonna like, because I do on another channel, and we've got a 20-year-old guy that's on there, which is really helpful because we're like 10, 15, nearly 20 years older than him. So when we're talking to him, for instance, about Van Nistelrooy, he's like I haven't seen Van Nistelrooy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so I asked him, okay, in your generation, who's
it's like we didn't see Pele, we didn't see Maradona. We know
who's
they're
the guys
great.
like, who's the guys that are 20-year-old and under talking about? They're talking about Florian Wirtz. They're talking about those guys. They're not talking about Hazard. They're not talking about. So that's, you have to adapt your mind and your brain to listen. Like, this is like, football's changing. It doesn't mean that it's worse or this or that. It's just that you had
look at music. Look at music and fashion. At the end of the day, when it comes to like popular music, I'm never going to think there's a modern contemporary pop and R&B artist that's as good as Michael Jackson. I'm just never going to think that. But you get some people that are Taylor Swift. That's not even pop and R&B. But there are some people that think Taylor Swift's better. Now, I can't agree with that, but I understand generationally, that's a generation that weren't even listening to music when he was alive, Michael Jackson. And there's a generation before me that would never put Michael Jackson above Elvis Presley or the Beatles, as an example.
No, but how much GNA did Taylor Swift get on her world tour compared to Michael Jackson? That's the real question.
Yeah, actually, she does very, very well. But guys,
so in money wise, she does really well. But Michael Jackson used to make people faint in his concerts. So
yeah, I mean, less air conditioning, you could argue. But yeah, I'm just saying, right? No, you can make these arguments, and I'd never put, but Michael Jackson's music was amazing. This can't be true that Salah only has 2 penalty goals in 11 finals for Egypt and Liverpool. It must be true if you're saying it, because Liverpool's play zonal marking and didn't want to pull Van Dijk or Konate from the centre. Eddie Howe outclassed slots. Yeah, and every Liverpool fan has admitted that on the show.
Even if you do that, like, put Szoboszlai on Dan Burn, not the shortest player we have.
I hear that. Husam needs to accept that Drogba clears Salah and makes him look like a fraud in finals when it matters most.
Jayden, this is a fantastic super chat. Explain to me why Didier Drogba for Cote d'Ivoire lost a AFCON final to Zambia. Where was his final turn up all the time? You see, when you come at me with stuff, know that I have something to say back because I'm a football historian. I have it all here.
Zambia team.
I know every single time one of your legends has had a shit game in a final. So shut the hell up.
Football troll. Where is Mr. Little? Yeah, I don't know where Tom Little. I don't know where Rack is. A lot of the Liverpool fans bottled it today.
He's here.
Not Rack. Sorry, Ram. I meant Ram. Ram. Sorry. Slots has been found out, but Arsenal is second. Congrats. Introvert Audio says, is it being outcoached or is it the same players in the team are limited? Slot plays with 2 10s has changed that since we've changed that since August. I don't rate these signings after Edwards left. What do you make of that? What do you make of that, Rack? So I'll come to you, Phil. What do you make of that, Rack?
Sorry. Yeah, in terms of the signings, I think there was a period when Klopp had more of a say in terms of signings, where a lot of us Liverpool fans questioned. We seem to have moved away from the transfer committee type signings and the collective thinking behind it. And I don't necessarily think that has worked to the same extent. There have been good buys. Look, I mean, you can obviously, Nunes is one of them that hasn't worked, but Szoboszlai and McAllister and these guys and Gravenberch, these guys were signed last summer when Klopp had much more control, and this second season they've all proved invaluable. So it swings and roundabouts. I think ultimately we will see in the next few summers what I was going to say the new transfer committee, but the new kind of old transfer committee, whether they can recreate what they've done in helping to assemble the squad that Klopp had and Slot inherited. So that remains to be seen. I'm not going to give that as an excuse for today. First of all, I want to say congratulations to Newcastle boys. I was on a stream with Philip yesterday, and I said if Liverpool weren't it, I would have really liked to see a Tottenham Newcastle final, and even though we lost today, I kind of, I consider Newcastle a proper club. They've got proper supporters. They've been starving for a long time, and even though I'm not happy about it because I'm the one who's lost out, when I see a smile on their faces, and some of these it's not just kids, it's dads, granddads, great granddads who haven't seen a trophy in their whole history, and this is, to some extent, this is what football is about. And so give them credit. Newcastle outplayed us today, tactically, technically, in every aspect you can think of. I don't think we dominated the game at all. We didn't look solid when we needed to. Set plays, they came up with some unique. No, not actually, unique's not right, but they outthought us. It took us a while to get to grips with it, and ultimately we paid the price. Set piece is huge in football, and if you give opportunities to go one goal up, then it's always going to be difficult. And Isak with a clinical finish. So yeah, big up to you boys. And I think some Liverpool fans, and potentially I include myself in that, we kind of thought this victory was almost a given. And football
I thought it was for you guys. I thought it was.
Yeah, but football has a habit of kicking you in the balls when you arguably least expect it.
I agree with you, Rack. The whole talk of the run, the finals, like failure, when you weigh like everything up, I just looked at it and I didn't want to say anything. I was going to do a preview and I didn't want to upset the apple cart. I just looked at it and thought, I haven't beaten them in 10 years in any competition. I haven't beaten them away from home or in a neutral ground since 1995. 5 major final losses on the bounce, 9 Wembley defeats on the bounce, no domestic trophy in 70 years. My gut reaction, the way it was being discussed in the media, and everyone was writing Newcastle off, I went to that place of, well, Newcastle winning this. And it happens so regularly now in big games. I'm surprised that people aren't cottoning onto it, because I actually think it starts creeping into dressing rooms. I really, in the modern day world, so much of what's said gets into dressing rooms now. The younger players now are all on socials and all of that. Like, players may not have read newspapers, 20 years ago. They're not reading the newspapers. They don't see what's being said. They all see what's being said now. So, yeah, no, I hear where you're coming from.
I just wanted to add on the... Sorry, go on, Steve.
Yeah, go on.
I wanted to add on the out coaching stuff, and I'm not kind of going against it. I don't know if Rack remembers, like when we spoke yesterday, one of my key, and this is why I think maybe it's not necessarily slot, it might be a little bit of the players. I was saying to Rack yesterday that one of my main concerns is that over the last 2 games, whenever Liverpool beat us, it's typically when they go down the flanks and hit direct ball, and it's the cutback. I kept on saying it's going to be the cutback. It's going to be the cutback. So I said our number 8s have to track their midfielders. So I don't know if you noticed during the game, like every time Joe Linton came back and covered back, he was celebrating it like a goal. And I think they made a point. I think they made a point of fact, to intercept those things. The one time it did get through, Curtis Jones obviously hit it straight at Pope and he saved it. So I think almost like there's an out coaching, but I think there's also like, I don't know if I put that down to out coaching, but when you've played the same team twice, you've lost in the same way. It doesn't take a scientist to just watch the highlights of how Liverpool have beaten Newcastle or scored against Newcastle this season to see it's the cutbacks. We have to get back. And we just wanted it so much. Like we just really, really wanted it so much, and so that's why it counted for us. But I think the direct balls looks a lot more. What's the word? Like you're going through the motions a lot more because you just had the PSG game and you just thought, okay, well, this is how we know how to beat them. Direct balls over the tops, try and single out either Livramento or Dan Burn with Mo Salah. Once it worked a little bit, but then we were just so ready for it. So I just think we were more ready for what you were going to bring.
Yeah. I think physically Newcastle, in a similar way to PSG, we haven't often been outfought this season. I think today physically as well, and the PSG game over the course of the tie, they proved our physical equal, if not exceeded what we could do, and that's a bit concerning. Look, in terms of the rest of the season, obviously, I think we're pretty much going to win the league, and we haven't really got that many back-to-back games anymore. There'll be plenty of time to rest between games. So I'm not really concerned about the league form. I just wanted us to get over the line today because then we could have got a double, and obviously. But ultimately, I'm not going to look back on this season in a negative sense. We can, right now in the moment, it doesn't feel good, obviously. But, you know, when it comes time for that to have the parade in May, then we're all going to be there and we're all going to be happy. And
of
and
course.
And then the work starts all over again. Like that's the thing with football. You win, and then it's all back to zero.
Plate clean, and everybody goes again. Look, one of the other little things as well. Maybe we'll see throughout the rest of the season. Sometimes the league ending, in terms of the race, the way it has, that can also take a bit out of you. There can be that sort of, so like you almost like relax a little bit, and it's sometimes hard to switch that intensity back on a little bit. And that may not be it. I'm just surmising here, but it'd be really interesting to see and hear what the players say when the league's totally won. They won't speak about that now, but it'll be interesting to see what they say from that point of view.
I also think, probably in the next few weeks, maybe once the league is sealed, we'll have more clarity. We'll have greater clarity on this contract situation.
Yes,
I think definitely before the end of the season, we will have some resolution in terms of Trent, Salah, and Van Dijk. Because if they are going to leave, then one way or the other, they need to be sent off correctly.
Yes, I agree.
And obviously, criticism has to follow if certainly if Trent and Salah leave, then but we can't have this like go into having the parade and then announce it on like the 1st of June. Oh yeah, by the way, Trent and Salah have left the club. That's not going to work.
Yeah, right at the end. Like you remember you see toy adverts as a kid, and at the end it goes where they basically batteries not included. The tour, the parade happens right at the end. Just to let you know, Sullivan and Trent have all left. Bye-bye. And then it just ends, Yeah, this here from Juliana says, as a Liverpool fan, this reminds me of the year in 2020 when we won the league, but we lost to Atletico. It is fairly similar. It is fairly similar to that season.
Weren't in a Carabao Cup final.
No, but that's why she said similar, mate, not the same. But yeah,
it reminds me of.
Reminds me of. Where I said similar, but she reminds me. Yeah, listen, it is, and this is what happens though when you're up for like 3, 4, 5 trophies in a season, and then you end up with one. There is a period where you feel crap because it's just one, but it's the Premier League and it's amazing and you will feel better. There's no doubt. Look, I want to say again, a massive congratulations to Newcastle. Well done for winning your first trophy in multiple generations today. Commiserations to Liverpool. This is going to redirect you to Judge Mo's channel. Then we're going to be live after Man United versus Leicester. So get yourselves back here. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And on the way out, a little word with Jamie Carragher.
I love the Carabao Cup, mate. I think it's a better competition than the FA Cup, but I think the Carabao Cup for a long time has been a better competition. It's a standalone cup final in early March. It sounds terrible. I'm happy when we go out the FA Cup, and I love the FA Cup. But the Carabao Cup doesn't affect your league.
I think it's a better competition than the FA Cup.